Today we have a story of two kids who trolled their school bully with a realistic Huggy Wuggy costume they found online. It is the perfect definition of what comes around goes around, baby. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Caden, and we're going to call his friend Jeff. I got these names from the comment section, so leave a comment of whatever names you want me to use. But anyways, right, in Jeff and Caden's school, there was a guy, his name, we're going to call him Sam. And Sam was like the school bully. He was always known for like picking on people, I don't know, people like his size, people not his size. Honestly, he picked on everyone. And the thing is, right, the bully, unfortunately, was kind of smart about his bullying, so he never, like, went too far that he would have gotten really in trouble, like would have been suspended or expelled or anything like that. Yes, the teachers did notice him, like, picking on the other kids. Yes, the teachers did notice him being, like, rude in class, but they really couldn't do that much because he would always make sure it was just a little bit too, like, not enough to actually get him in trouble. But he was just known for literally bullying everyone. And the problem was the majority of like the worst bullying he did was when the teachers weren't around to see it. And at this point, right, everyone in the school was getting really sick of this kid. And while Caden and Jeff, they didn't necessarily like this kid either, as, you know, they noticed he was bullying all their friends, that, he was bullying them as well. There was one day where Sam the bully just simply went way too far. So Caden and Jeff, they had this friend, her name was Sarah, and one day, right, Sarah came running to Caden and Jeff crying, and they were like obviously very concerned for her because, she came at them like bawling, like, whatever, right? Obviously, right, if your friend comes to you and they're crying, you're going to want to be there for them. You're going to want to like make sure that they're okay, and you're also going to want to know why they're crying. And, Sarah came to them and she was crying, and she basically explained to Caden and Jeff that, the bully, Sam, just bullied her too hard, was just picking on her too hard, and she just wasn't having a good day anyways, and he really just went way too far. And at this point, right, Caden and Jeff, they had enough. They were really upset with this kid, and they realized that, he was going to keep doing this unless someone fought back. And, I never have a physical fight. That is a terrible idea, and I will never endorse that. And they also realized that that was a bad idea. So Caden and Jeff were thinking to themselves, all right, what are we going to do about this? Like, he messed with Sarah. He can mess with me. He can mess with you, Caden, but he can't mess with Sarah. He can't mess with our friend. He's gone way too far. We got to get back at him. So Caden and Jeff were sitting there trying to think, like, all right, what's the plan? How are we going to get this guy? How are we going to get him back? How are we going to get this guy back? Because they didn't want to bully him back necessarily, but they did want to do something. And they're thinking, all right, maybe we can prank this kid. And what would be a creative way that he won't see coming? And they think to themselves, all right, so recently there has been a popular game, because this story happened kind of recently, and they're like, there's been a popular game online recently. It's called Huggy Wuggy, or it's not called Huggy Wuggy, it's called Poppy Playtime, and the main character is Huggy Wuggy. I'll put them on screen. The name, Huggy Wuggy, sounds like a big, cute whatever thing. If you can see on screen, this thing is not cute, and if this thing was running at you full force, super scary, you're gonna be scared, bro. So the two kids sit down, they think, all right, we gotta like somehow find a way to like make sure that this guy knows who like Huggy Wuggy is, try and convince him that he's real, and even if the bully doesn't believe us, and even if the bully like doesn't, think, that he's actually real and gets scared, then he's gonna know what to look for, and then when he sees it, he's gonna super freak out. And hopefully we can do this in front of everyone so that the bully loses some of his power. And because like if everyone sees the bully getting super scared at like a costume, right, people are gonna start laughing at him, and it's gonna be like he's going to get evened out, right? The power he holds is going to dissipate, and he's going to lose that leverage. And it's a pretty good plan, but it's going to take a lot for them to pull it off. First thing they need to do is find a costume online that is at least a little bit realistic. Next, they're going to have to confront the bully, tell him about Huggy Wuggy, and try and make it at least a little bit convincing. Like, somehow come up with a story about, how Huggy Wuggy was actually real, and the video game was just like someone knew about it from like a leak and decided to make a video game to make money off of like a true story. And then the third thing would be to get him in a place in front of everyone, maybe recess, maybe, I don't know, the school cafeteria, and have one of the two guys, have either Caden and Jeff, dress up in the, the Realistic Huggy Wuggy costume they get online and scare him in front of everyone. It was a lot to pull off, and they had a lot of planning to do, and honestly, there was quite a lot of luck involved if the thing was to go well anyways. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Huggy Wuggy down below in the comment section down below. I just said down below twice. I don't know, man. I'm tired. But anyways, right, I'll be trying to heart as many of those comments as I possibly can. And even if I don't get to your comment, just know I do appreciate you watching. And if you want a better chance of getting a heart, comment it maybe 2 or 3 times in separate comments. Anyways, back to the story. Let's see if Caden and Jeff can actually pull this off. Anyways, right, so, Caden goes online. And he's looking on Amazon, and he's trying to figure out, like, all right, let me see if I can find a realistic Huggy Wuggy costume. And eventually, after a lot of searching, he finds one that is at least semi-realistic. I don't know if he finds it on Amazon or a special site, or maybe someone's custom making them. I don't 100% know where he finds it, but eventually, online, he finds a costume that is at least somewhat realistic and at least somewhat scary. And he asks his mom if he can buy it, and his mom is a little bit like, why do you want this costume? It's not near Halloween. And Caden has to come up with a lie. Well, this is kind of like a good lie, but he has to come up with a lie on the spot. But anyways, he just explains that him and his friend want to have some kind of like dress up fun kind of event, some kind of, he says something, and his mom, while still a little like, okay, whatever, eventually ends up believing him and buys him the costume. It takes about 2 weeks to ship, and when the costume comes, Caden actually, tells Jeff to come over, and it's like a Saturday, and Jeff is coming over for a play date. But what their parents don't actually know is the play date is more like a strategy session. It's like 2 military generals preparing strategy, right? So they're there, they sit down, and Caden brings out the costume to show Jeff. And Jeff is like, wow, that's actually like better than I expected. Of course, right, if you look at the costume, it looks like a costume. Every costume kind of looks like a costume. So they still have to be like, they still have to be very, like, they have to plan out how they're going to scare the bully, because they can't just show him the costume. He has to be, like, whoever, Caden or Jeff, whichever one decides to wear the costume, has to, like, sprint at the bully at, like, full force or whatever. But anyways, they sit down, and they plan strategy, and they're ready. The plan is set, and it's time to deliver it into action. Let's go, boys. Alright, so the next Monday in school, it is part 2 of their plan in action. They need to find a way to somehow at least convince the bully, or at a minimum, tell the bully about Huggy Wuggy and explain, like, kind of at least get it in his head so he'll be more scared when he sees them charging at him, right? Anyways, right, so, Caden and Jeff, they find Sam, the bully, sitting at lunch alone, because, no one's friends with the bully if he bullies everyone. However, Sam, the bully, doesn't really care that he's sitting alone, because it's just more time for him to plan who he's going to bully next or whatever. But they sit down with him, and, Sam looks up at Caden and Jeff. He's like, what do you two want or whatever? And, Sam and Jeff, or Caden and Jeff, not Sam, my fault. Caden and Jeff, they look up and they, they sit down and they look at Sam and they're like, all right, man, we have something we want to tell you about. And we're only doing this for your safety. And, this kind of catches Sam off guard, as he was, when someone says, hey, I have something to tell you and it's for your safety, bro, you're going to listen. You're going to listen good. Or if you're like, you're at least going to pay a little bit more attention than if they said, hey, we want to tell you about this fun thing that we know or whatever, right? So, the bully, Sam goes on to say, all right, man, speak. I'm listening. So Caden and Jeff go on to say, hey man, do you know what Huggy Wuggy is? And, the bully's like, yeah, man, it's from that video game. Like, what about it? And, Caden and Jeff look at each other and they're like, man, you're not going to believe us, but we just need to let you know. We're telling everyone about this. It's for everyone's safety. And he's like, what? And they're like, dude, I know you're not going to believe this, but that video game was actually based on a real thing. Something that actually happened really near to us. Do you remember the whatever mall, like the downtown mall? He's like, yeah, it shut down a couple weeks ago. What do you think that was based on? What do you think the thing was based on? And he's like, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? And Kate and Jeff were like, man, the video game, it was based on a report, a top secret report that, it was based on what happened near us. And he's like, looks at them like, you expect me to believe that? And they're like, dude, I know you're not going to believe us or anything, but it wasn't us that was told about that. you know Brian, right? And Sam the bully says, yeah, like he's in our grade or whatever. So Brian, the thing is, right, you know how his dad works for the government? He's like, yeah, he works for like the IRS. And Kate and Jeff look at each other and then look at Sam and they're like, Sam, Brian's dad does not work for the IRS. Brian's dad works for a special unit of the government that is in charge of dealing with, anything of like the paranormal nature or anything of like the nature that the public can't know about. And the only reason, right, that we know about this is that, Brian, he was like stayed up late when his parents thought he was asleep and he was listening to his dad talk to his mom, and his dad was explaining how they're going to move soon because, of this leak that was happening. And Sam looks at them, and Sam honestly like looked a little scared for a second, but then he's like, you two are lying. Get out of here. And Caden and Jeff just stand up. They're like, all right, man, well, you don't have to believe us, but our conscience is clear now that we told you. And Sam, the bully's like, get out of here, guys. Stop lying to me. And they're like, all right, man, we just wanted to let you know. Now we feel good about it, that you have the information to survive. And he's like, stop lying. Stop lying to me. And they're just like, you know what? You don't have to believe us, but we did what we had to do. So anyways, right, they don't do it right away because that would be a little bit too obvious. So they wait an entire day. And the next day at recess, right, is when part 3, the final stage of the prank, the operation, is to commence. So the next day at recess, Jeff walks out and he sees Sam the bully standing there, kind of alone or on the swing set, probably thinking about who he's going to bully next. And a lot of other kids were out there too. And Jeff goes up to Sam. And he's like, runs up to Sam, kind of like out of breath, kind of putting on an act like he needed to urgently get to him. And he was like, Sam, I have something really important to tell you. You know that thing I told you yesterday? He's like, yeah, the lie you were telling me about. He's like, dude, no, it's super serious. We need to get out of here. And, Sam the bully is like, I'm not going anywhere, bro. And Jeff's like, whatever. At least I told you. My conscience is clear. And Jeff like sprints out of there, sprints out back into the building. So at this point, Sam is really like, he's pretty shaken up because some guy like Jeff randomly sprints up to him and says like, we need to get out of here. And all like Sam is thinking about is the story that they told him yesterday. He's starting to get a little bit nervous. And as he's getting nervous, Caden, dressed up in the Huggy Wuggy costume, comes out of the building and is sprinting towards Sam full speed. And let me just say, Sam the bully, bro, he started screaming like a little girl. And there's nothing wrong with screaming like a little girl. I bet if like a massive Huggy Wuggy was sprinting towards me, I would scream like the littlest girl on planet Earth, bro. Like, I'm not pretending to be some big brave guy, but bro, the guy who is bullying everyone is in front of everyone, starts screaming and running away. And Sam the bully sprints out of the playground and just gone. He's out of the playground. He like runs out into the street or whatever, or not into the street, but like there's kind of like a big grassy field. He just runs right out of the playground, right into the grassy field as far as he could go, screaming the entire time. And as, Sam is out of eyesight, Caden takes off like the Huggy Wuggy helmet, or not helmet, but like the top part to his costume, and everyone now can see that it is Caden in a costume who scared off the mighty Sam, the bully. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like in the video, and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or go watch another one of my videos. They either will support the channel. Thank you, bye.